Many thanks for joining us. You're watching QTV News, coming to you live from our studios on Caraba Avenue, and I am Ansmane Soinyase. Here are the main local news headlines. $200 million worth of drugs were destroyed on Wednesday by the Drug Law Enforcement Agency as part of events commemorating International Day Against Drug Abuse. The Institute of Human Rights and Development in Africa on Tuesday organized a forum to initiate dialogue on the decriminalization of petty offenses perceived as discriminatory against the poor, women and young people. The Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority, Yankuba Dabo, has expressed confidence that the authority will achieve government's $12.8 billion revenue target in 2021. And a three-day consultative and mentoring workshop on security sector programming and coordination was on Wednesday organized by the Gambia government with support from the African Union. Well, those were our main headlines, and now we take a look at the news in detail. $200 million worth of drugs were destroyed on Wednesday by the Drug Law Enforcement Agency as part of events commemorating International Day Against Drug Abuse, which falls on 26 June every year. Babu Garcia attended the event and he files in this report.
The drugs destroyed are 4 tons of cannabis, 238 kilograms of hashish, 17 grams of heroin, and 52 kilograms of cocaine. The event was witnessed by security heads, CSOs, the Human Rights Commission, and the media. Although the date for commemorating International Day Against Drug Abuse has passed, the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the Gambia, chose the last month of the year to destroy the drugs seized during the year. Bakari Gassama, the Director General of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the Gambia, says the theme for this year, Share Facts on Drugs, Save Lives, is important because of the current realities we are facing.
Social media has become one of the main platforms that people get information. The convenience of information via social media is obvious, as it is easy to access, engaging, and can be easily shared with family and friends. Unfortunately, drugs and related matters are the common subjects of inaccurate news on social media. You are about to witness the destruction of huge quantity of drugs of various types. Public drug destruction is a practice that demonstrates accountable governance in law enforcement in the management of drug exhibits. The street value of these drugs stands at $109,529,070.
Abdoulaye T.B. Jara, Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Interior, speaking on behalf of the board members of the League, said the agency is currently putting in place drug demand reduction strategies to engage communities because young people are greatly affected by illicit drug abuse.
Young people are deceived into believing that they can get their way through drugs and abandon education to venture into drug abuse and petty trading in drugs, thus ending up in the streets. There is also a clear indication that illicit drugs are adversely impacting on demand for public health, as seen in most of the psychiatric admissions in this country.
Honorable Yankuba Sonko, the Minister of Interior, urged people to take a firm stand against misinformation and share facts to help in the fight against illicit drug use.
We are aware that many factors making young people vulnerable to drugs. Key among them is misinformation. We have observed that young people, particularly girls, are increasingly engaged in abuse of controlled drugs. Most of them are influenced by lifestyles they saw on internet and other media. The best way to reverse this trend is to counter the impression given and guide them through career guidance and counseling schemes.
According to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, the theme this year's focus on International Day Against Drug Abuse is to combat misinformation by sharing facts on drugs from health risks and solutions for the world drug problem to evidence-based prevention, treatment and care. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
Now, the Institute of Human Rights and Development in Africa on Tuesday organized a sensitization forum to initiate a dialogue on decriminalization of petty offenses in our law books that are perceived as discriminatory against the poor, women and young people. Lamin Choi has more.
The Gambia, as a former colony and in common with many African countries, inherited from the British and still has on its statute books laws that are nearly a century old or older, some of which are seen to be petty and discriminatory against the poor and marginalized groups. For example, in Gambia's criminal code, people can be arrested, fined or jailed for 2 years or both for offenses such as being a rogue, vagabond, idle and disorderly persons, defamation of foreign princes, pretending to exercise witchcraft or tell fortunes, failure to pay debts, or using abusive or insulting language to a public health officer, etc. Ironically, the British, who bequeathed us these laws, have expunged all of them from their statute books. The Executive Director of Institute of Human Rights and Development in Africa, Gay Sow, advocates for the repealing or amendment of such petty offenses in our law books.
They're colonial relics, and unfortunately, some of them are really couched in very disrespectful terms. And even if you look at our Lunatics Detention Act, you would see terms such as idiots, imbeciles, or whatever you might want to call it.
This sensitization forum brings together 25 people from the governance, justice, human rights, security and civil society sectors to inform them of the situation regarding petty offenses in the Gambia and the opportunities for decriminalization.
We decided it's important we start looking into these laws that send people to jail, not because of what they did, but because of a particular situation they found themselves in. As in, you picked up, probably you're exercising your right to freedom of movement. Unfortunately, you're picked up because someone somewhere thinks you are idle and disorderly. You're picked up because someone somewhere thinks you are a rogue and a vagabond, even before you are taken to court for your evidence to be heard.
Although the Ministry of Justice has repealed some of the offences classified as petty in its criminal offences bill, it has maintained some. Suhaibu Ture is a National Assembly member and the Vice Chair of the National Assembly's Committee on Human Rights, and he tells me the role of the legislature on law reforms.
Just like I said, immediately after this we will be dealing with the two courts, the criminal code and the procedure code. So if we continue to review them, we will definitely come across a lot of laws that are like this. And as if the training indicates to us, give us an idea of laws that are petty offenses that are definitely not in the interest of the Gambian people, especially the poor people, then we will be obliged to remove them from the code.
Some of the petty offences identified are said to be inconsistent with certain articles of the African Charter, which the Gambia has been a signatory to for over 4 decades. Some African countries, namely Angola, Cape Verde, Lesotho and Rwanda, have reportedly repealed some of their colonial laws like the ones in the Gambia, classified as petty and inconsistent with democracy. Mahmoud Lamin Choy, QTV News.
Now, the Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority, Yankuba Dabo, has expressed confidence that the authority will achieve government's 2021 $12.8 billion revenue target. He was speaking in a recent interview with QTV. More in this report. National institution that prides itself in its commendable delivery record, the Gambia Revenue Authority is set to meet its annual revenue target for the year 2021. As is customary, at the end of each year, government in consultation with partners like the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund sets revenue collection targets for the following year. This is done to spur performance and meet customer needs. Yankuba Dabo, Commissioner General of GRA, says he is hopeful the authority will meet government's 2021 target that has been set at $12 billion.
Once the target is agreed between GRA and the government, it becomes now our primary role to make sure that that target is collected for the government. Because government have a program, and the programs are based on the availability of the revenue. Despite the COVID and everything, by the end of the year, we are almost 95% towards achieving our target.
He also revealed that there are plans to reform and improve the country's domestic tax revenue systems, which he says is important for economic growth. He cites countries such as Kenya, where 70% of the country's annual revenue is from domestic tax, as a perfect example of a thriving economy driven mainly by domestic tax.
And these are the things we want to replicate in this country. And that is why we need partners like WATAF to work with them. WATAF and ETAF, equally with WCO. So unless someone do a benchmarking, sometimes you don't know your weaknesses.
Meanwhile, he thanks ECOWAS countries for entrusting the West African Tax Administration Forum WATAF leadership to the Gambia, following his recent appointment as chairman of the regional forum.
And I promise that I will do my best. And as I said earlier on, in one of the interviews that I did, we are together, we are able to achieve something for WATAF. Because in the past, ECOWAS, which is a sub-regional organization, was concentrating only on customs matters. When it comes to domestic taxes, they have little to do with domestic taxes. But when WATAF came in 10 years ago, we've been working very hard to make them to understand that revenue collection is not only based on international trade.
Established by an act of parliament in 2004, the Gambia Revenue Authority is a merger of the former Customs and Excise and Domestic Taxes departments, created to maximize revenue collection and achieve economic sovereignty and self-reliance. I'm Smaneso Nyasi for QTV News. And from the report there, we'll now go for a short commercial break, but the news continues when we return.
Q City New Year's Eve Gala. It's the time of the year again. Time to end it with a bang and in style. Join our annual New Year's Eve feast in a breathtaking environment with the amazing Keba Taylor Band and the exceptional Bud Hammer, the man with the golden voice. And to top it all, the jaw-dropping fireworks at midnight to celebrate the beginning of a rocking new year filled with all the happiness in the world. Celebrate and make New Year's resolutions with family and loved ones at Q City. Tickets are only $3,500 for individual and $2,000 for children 12 and under, and a 10% discount for every table of 10. Call 33-72489 or 33-00056 for more info. Q City New Year's Eve Gala. Cheers to the good life that awaits us all.
Fire, 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 fire.
dang doon xalaat pour am yére bu nice boy sol pour ajuma bi mbaate yeneen xew yi kon ñu ne leen Kara Creation benn lañ ci réew mi ñëw nañ pour rek safaral seen jafe-jafe ci wàllum sol kon Kara Creation wax leen noo ko bëggee rek ñu ñëwal la ko ci noo ko bëggee kon ñu ne la Kara Creation am nañ bépp façon pièce boo bëgga te it am nañ ay xaftaan yu ñëw ba pare pour rek ngeen mun a kontaan kon ñu ne leen Kara Creation seeti leen foofu sa Serekunda ñu ngi jàkkaarloo ak Black Market bi bala police station bi mun nga leen a call si 5189-189 Kara Creation, we provide quality.
Welcome back from the commercial break. Be reminded you're watching QTV News, coming to you live from our studios on Caraba Avenue, and I am Smaneso Nyasi. Now, a 3-day consultative and mentoring workshop on security sector programming and coordination was on Wednesday organized by the Gambia government with support from the African Union. Ayubintu Drame tells us more.
The objective of the forum and the consultancy mission is to provide effective technical assistance to the Gambia government in its efforts to developing a proper national security reform coordination mechanism and programs. This relates to the ongoing institutional reform to strengthen political transition for the Gambia's socio-economic development. Momodu Baji, the National Security Advisor, says the forum highlights the progress, challenges and way forward for the national security reform process.
Since the commencement of the security sector reform process, the challenges is considered one of the reasons for the slow pace of the entire process and poor public awareness of the numerous gains that have been achieved.
Christopher Kayoshi, acting head of the AU's Defense and Security Division, says the Commission is ready to implement the recommendation of the forum, which he hopes will give the Gambia a robust coordination mechanism in stabilizing the security sector.
I wish to recall that the African Union has been providing technical support in the SSR processes in the Gambia over the 3 years, like Sarah has just mentioned. During this technical support, there was needs assessment mission held in the Gambia this year, 2021 in September, and a number of stakeholders were recognized and mapped out by the technical support team to the Gambia, which had played a pivotal role, like my colleague here, Sarah.
Mustafa Salif Yabo, Permanent Secretary, Office of the President, has this to say.
When we do not coordinate our efforts, there is bound to be duplication, leading to suboptimal use of resources, including monies, materials, manpower, and time. There is need to have a clear identification of the roles of the different stakeholders in the SSR program.
Daniel Carlos, clerk of the National Assembly, also explains.
The anti-crime unit of the police force, how many of us knew that they have won so many awards in crowd control, vehicular traffic control, even in ride control? How were they able to achieve that? We must look at the reasons and strengthen those. That is local content. We need to develop that. We must develop a national vision for security, because the thinking here is, whilst we are doing the civil service and public service reform, we ignored the security sector for some time.
Launched in 2017, security sector reform is a complex task due to the multiplicity of SSR support programs being implemented by a range of actors, from national stakeholders to bilateral partners, international civil society and multilateral organizations. The current government promised that the security sector would be reformed to ensure an effective and accountable security sector with full respect for human rights, the rule of law and the fundamental principles of good governance. Ajipintu Drame, QTV News.
Salt consumption is important not only as a major food flavor enhancer, but it is also vital for maintaining a healthy body. Abiodun Sise looks at the importance of iodized salt and its health benefits. Here's the report.
According to research, adding iodine to salt was introduced by Swiss and US researchers in 1924 to reduce the increase of goiter, an enlarged thyroid gland, or a swelling in the neck caused by iodine deficiency. In the Gambia, salt is affordable and available in shop shelves and other selling points. Mama Bajinka is a salt vendor at the Denton Bridge and the vice president of Saro Salt Association. She explains the importance of iodized salt, which they get from Senegal, and the benefits she gets from the business. If you go to the market, most of the people selling salt are low-income earners. At the end of the day, we earn something to feed our families. The business is a halal means of earning because it is not perishable and there are no losses. Most iodized salt is originally harvested from the sea before undergoing processing, in which iodine is added. Malik Sar, another salt vendor at Denton Bridge, lamented that the Gambia has salt in the sea but lacks the machines that mix salt with iodine. However, he says the salt that enters the country is safe for consumption.
The National Nutrition Agency and public health officers have tested whether the salt is iodized before it enters the country. Health is priority as many people consume salt daily, so we thank the authorities.
Our body uses iodine to make thyroid hormones, which helps control growth, repair damaged cells, and support a healthy metabolism. Despite the health benefits, eating too much salt can contribute to high blood pressure, which is linked to conditions like heart failure and heart attack, kidney problems, stroke, amongst other health complications. Mama Bajinka says because iodized salt is not produced in the Gambia, the product is scarce during the rainy season. She pleads for more support.
meni alon ko alhamdulillah ye fere ke ye makoy mo kili factory ye le ka kala ko da mandoronet.
I am appealing to philanthropists and organizations to help us with salt factory to mix iodine with our Gambian salt. That way, we can stop the importation of salt, which is not profitable to our business. Throughout time, salt played an important role in human societies. In ancient times, salt was used as a form of currency and to preserve foods such as meat and fish, even now. In the Gambia, most people don't care whether salt is iodized or not. However, what is advisable is to use it moderately because too much salt in our food could be harmful to our health. For QTV News, I am Abibatu Sise.
Now, with the Gambia now experiencing severe traffic jams on urban roads, it seems many people now prefer tricycles, known as batch cars, to other vehicles as a source of transportation. Fadusi Sanyang went out to talk to drivers and passengers about the popularity of this mode of transport.
Motor tricycles, also known as keke in Nigeria and batch car in the Gambia, are becoming a widely used local taxi transport service by many Gambian commuters, particularly during rush hours. The three-wheeled vehicle is based on the same technology as a bicycle and a motorcycle, but it is normally powered by an electric motor or a car engine. Abdullah Jallo, a batch car driver, tells us why he thinks some Gambians prefer batch cars.
Because first time, taxi man is
people like batch cars. Look at them over there. They are around waiting for batch cars to transport them. Because if you come here, taxi drivers will only go on town trips. We will come and transport them up to Westville for only $10, and it favors them.
Alpha Amarba, a driver, also indicates that people mostly prefer batch cars because of their speed.
Batch cars are very fast. You can come and go within a short time. People nowadays run away from cars. They come to us. They usually have tranquility traveling in this vehicle. That is why they prefer batch cars as a means of transportation.
Abdullah Ba, a Gambian batch car driver for over 2 years, says that the batch cars has come mainly to rescue people from paying excessive fares charged by other commercial vehicles.
If you wake up every morning and you don't have a taxi, the batch cars are always on standby. It's the only means of transport that can pick you up to Westville and Cooperative for just $10. That is also another happiness.
Cherno S. Mboob and Tita Dabo respectively says that batch cars are more reliable. I usually pay 3 fares most of the time if I don't take the batch car. When I take a car from my Johnson, the driver will say Tipa Garage, then Tipa Garage to Bumbo, then Bumbo to Westville, which is unfavorable for us. Therefore, we prefer batch cars. They are faster and more reasonable. Yusufa Koroma, a Sierra Leonean driver, urges the government to register the batch car with the Gambia Transportation Union and also to help them with a garage.
This batch car has never been signed under the transport union, so I'm asking the government to help us sign it under the drivers union, because we also are helping the government, we are helping the citizens here, we are helping the people, we are serving the nation. So we are asking the government to help us to sign it, then more preferable for the people.
In Asia and Africa, tricycles are used primarily for commercial transportation. Even though tricycles are fast and convenient, they are not to everyone's liking, and there are also risks of unexpected accidents due to its small size and light weight and the poor traffic manners on our urban roads. For QTV News, I am Fadusi Sanyang.
An interesting piece there by Fadusi Sanyang, and I'm afraid that is all about it for this bulletin. But before we take a leave of you, here's a recap from main headlines. Over $100 million worth of drugs were destroyed on Wednesday by the Drug Law Enforcement Agency as part of events commemorating International Day Against Drug Abuse. The Institute of Human Rights and Development in Africa on Tuesday organized a forum to initiate a dialogue on decriminalization of petty offenses perceived to be discriminatory against the poor, women and young people. The Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority, Yankuba Dabo, has expressed confidence that the authority will achieve government's $12.8 billion revenue target in 2021. And a 3-day consultative and mentoring workshop on security sector programming and coordination was on Wednesday organized by the Gambia government with support from the African Union. That is all we have for you for this edition. Do join us at 10 p.m. for another bulletin. Until then, thanks for watching.